Welcome to Heartbeat of the Universe, where we share knowledge from some of the most enlightened teachers on the planet today so that we can really fully awaken and step into our roles as co-creators of a new reality and a new world. You know, I feel right now that we have been under like a hypnotic trance, but the cosmos is snapping its fingers right now and really waking us up. And today it's my great honor to really interview somebody that I have admired from afar from a long time, his work and the amazing information that he's releasing on the planet. And I believe his teachings on syncretism are really one of the keys that are going to bring us into oneness, to see that all the realms, science, astrotheology, mythology, the Bible, fairy tales, really are all telling the very same story, which is your story and my story. So today I want to introduce Santos Benaki. Hello.
How are you, Mary Lou? Thank you. It's a pleasure to be with you. Thank you.
Pleasure to have you. And you're talking to us from Australia today, correct?
Yep.
Awesome. Well, Santos, I was reading a little bit about you, and I saw that you came out of Jehovah's Witness, and I came out of a very similar, very strict religious background, but I feel like knowing that Bible was for such a real purpose, because when the veil was pulled back, I began to see that it was a metaphysical book. And it had astrotheology, it had genetic engineering, it had so much more in it. So what I want to ask you is, how did you begin to awaken? How did your journey start? And how did you step out of religion into this vast world of synchronism and astrotheology?
Yeah, good question. So I had pretty much a very conventional Christian upbringing. My parents were Southern Italian, Calabrian, migrated in 56. I was born in 63, baptized a Catholic at the age of 2. So that's pretty conventional, you know, just ordinary corporate, what I call corporate churchianity. So.
Right.
Yeah, it's not real Christianity. The essence of Christianity is beautiful. It's pure. It's a pure science, just as Islam is, just as Judaism is. So in their pure form, these are great sciences. They're just wonderful sciences. And but in their corporate form, they really are just a monotheistic control mechanism, an aberration, really, top heavy with. Very corrupt people, lots of pedophiles in the churches, in churchianity. And so I guess I just used my own intelligence when I was a Jehovah's Witness. So I was a Jehovah's Witness for probably, over 35 odd years, but active around about 20, 25 years. And so...
wow.
So eventually I think layers of... corruption and how can I say this nicely? Because I don't want to be rude, but right. I mean layers of deceit, put it that way. Layers of deceit right. Just fell off my eyes. If you use your intelligence and you have enough will to want to know the truth, your cognitive dissonance will eventually disappear. And when it does, you begin to see your church as a place for you to have gone into to get out of.
Right.
Pretty much like a tunnel. You never enter a tunnel to stay there. You enter exactly. A tunnel so that you can get to the other side. And so churches are like tunnels, I think. And whereas the religion and the science that they are based on, this is where we should be focusing so that we can see the truth, the mythology, the cosmology, the anagogic, the allegoric, metaphysical layers of truth that are in these beautiful religio-science works.
Right. Because really the Bible holds a lot of tools. When you see it, and even the scriptures itself, it says the letter kills. It's the spirit that brings life. So it's not just reading the words, it's seeing the deeper meaning, the allegories, the parables that are behind it that really, set us free. And that's what I began to see. And I saw it was a book of numerology. And that's how I began to wake up. And like you said, when you awaken, it's really something because you see it from totally different eyes. Well, let me ask you this. What has religion been used? How do you think religion has been used to really control our world?
Yeah, well, like anything, the controllers always co-opt natural systems. You see, in our scriptures, we have natural philosophies that lead us to the Creator.
Right.
Uh, it's encoded transcendental science, which is pure and beautiful. What they do is they get them. They don't understand these scriptures. They don't care to understand these scriptures, and they use them in a way such as to control us. It would be pretty much in a way that a killer would use a buttering knife or a knife that is useful in the kitchen to kill someone. Wrong application. They weren't
Right.
made to kill human beings. They were made for you to butter your knife, cut your bread, and use efficiently in the kitchen so that you can have a nice life. So
Right.
this will be a very simplistic illustration to show how the Bible, Bhagavad Gita, and all of these beautiful scriptures have been used to go after heretics and infidels. And whereas the scriptures, for instance, a lot of people say, "Oh, the Bible's evil." Jehovah tells the Jews to dash the children against the crag and to cut the pregnant women open, pull the children out, and just butcher them, and slam them against the rock, and so that
Right.
no Canaanite children can possibly breathe and live and exist. Well, there's nothing literal about that. That is pure literary nectar of the gods. And what
Right.
it is saying is that if we do not cut open the pregnant women, which are our pregnant thoughts, our mind is pregnant with wrong thinking, and little children, immature little children, emotionally and spiritually and mentally. And if we carry those immature little children for the rest of our lives, they will harm us.
Beautiful. I love that. Right.
And so we get those immature children and we dash them against the crag, and we grow up and we
Right.
think our thoughts through, and we look at our emotions that are harmful to us, and we sort those out, and we
Right.
kill those Canaanites and those Philistines and those evil intentions and evil lustful vice that we have in the lower Canaanite. See, Canaan is in our bodies. There's no place geographically called Canaan. Yes, they may have called it Canaan after the fact, after the true Canaan, which is the ecliptic in the sky, and our body. There's only
Right.
two places where the gospel exists: in the ecliptic in the sky and our body. The body is the Holy Land. So
Right.
holy bits are the heart, the mind, and all of the sacred organs. But some of those organs are struggling. For instance, the stomach is struggling. Some people eat too much. They are gluttonous. And see, this is a Canaanite child that needs to be destroyed. That individual needs to get to grips with that vice, and they need to deal with it. And if they do not kill and slaughter and murder that Philistine child, it will harm them in the long run.
Exactly. I was reading recently where David Wilcock was saying that science is really just catching up to the Bible. That's another reason why we haven't been able to understand it, because it is such an advanced science going on there, like genetic engineering and things like that. So we're really just catching up to understand that there is so much. But I love the way you explain that. That is so beautiful, because it's all inside of us, isn't it? I mean, really,
Yes.
and like you said, in the heavens is the story. That's a story that man can't tamper with, because it's an eternal story up there for us to see. Well, I love that. I went to Rome last year, and I was at the Vatican, and there was this huge obelisk in St. Peter's Square, and then we saw the big pine cone. What significance do you think? I know some of the significance of what they are, but what is the significance of having them at Rome, right at the Vatican, do you think?
Well, you see, the pine cone is a symbol of the pineal gland, the eye that
Right.
sees. So when we become spiritual, we say, "I see," and that is with one eye, which is the unity eye. Whereas these eyes, this one's in the male is ruled by the moon, this one is ruled by the sun, and opposite in the feminine gender. So, but these two see things polarized, physical, material things. So if we always looking with these eyes, we're always living in a dualistic, polarized world. Whereas if we shut these eyes and we can see with our pineal gland, then we can see God. We can see the Creator. We can see the Creator that we are. We can see spiritual things. You see, this is why, have a look at our nursery rhymes. They're always talking about children or prodigal sons returning to their senses, or someone who's gone astray and they've corrected their stray actions. Let's take, for example, Pinocchio. Well, Pinocchio is made up of two words: pine, the pineal gland,
Wow.
and occhio means eye.
Wow.
So the little burattino, Pinocchio, the little puppet or wooden puppet, he wanted to become a real boy. He wanted to be real and have feelings and emotions, you see. So he couldn't lie, he couldn't continue lying because his nose would grow, you see. And so that was a symbol of the lower, he needed to transmute and sublimate those vices into virtues to become a real boy. And so that his eye, his pineal eye, Pinocchio,
Right.
would be illuminated. So, of course, this was written in the 1800s by a Freemason. And they know these inside stories, you see.
Exactly.
And so we are the same. We are prodigal children, squandering our spiritual energies in material lust and sense gratification mode. And so once we repent or come to our senses, then we return inward. We go inward to where the Creator is, and we find a more superior world, the interior world. The exterior world is there to mislead us and to, carry us hither and thither. And like Pinocchio was led by all kinds of interesting people in his journey. Come here, Pinocchio. Let's go to the show. Let's go wandering around. You don't have any purpose. Let us just enjoy life and please the senses. Whereas Pinocchio had an intention, to find that pineal eye, see, and find the inner truth. And so this is our story. This is where we go within and we find the Christ within. Colossians 1:27-28, where the Apostle Paul says, basically he's just saying, why bother with any historical, mundane Jesus? Why bother? The history's gone. There is no such thing.
Right.
We see Christians fighting about whether Jesus did this or whether he did that because he was a literal man. This is truly childish spirituality. And the Apostle Paul led us with it to the true Christ, which is the Christ within, where he said, the ancients knew not the sacred secret of the Christ that dwells in you.
Right.
And so once that Christ is activated, and as Jesus said to Nicodemus, unless you lift up the Son of Man, you cannot return to heaven to be born again. You must be born again. And so this being born again is what happened to Pinocchio. So the Christ is you and I.
Yes.
Jesus, you and I. Jesus, who came in the flesh, is not a historical person. It is transcendentally historical.
Right, right. So beautiful. I love the way that you put that all together. Well, let me ask you though, why are those at the Vatican? Why do they have them there?
Yeah, well, they put the plain truth. They hide it under your nose, really. It's a symbol of illumination. They use all the symbols. There are no other symbols. As a chef would use a knife in his kitchen, a killer would use the same knife to do his evil deeds. So these these controlling corporate Christian, let's go the Pope and his cardinals and all of these people. I don't want to be mean because I know they're not Christian at all whatsoever.
Right.
They use our symbols. They use the natural symbols and the glyphs and the teachings and all of the beautiful numerical significance and indicators
Right.
for the wrong purpose. Simply
Right.
to co-opt them and to give them a more sinister feel, I would say, or a more sinister. They probably just use them to void them and to make them useless and meaningless, or give them an evil aspect, so that people can be turned away and not appreciate the true meaning of all the things that they use. For instance, the Holy Cross. When I was a Jehovah's Witness, I was taught that the cross was just evil. It was pagan. It was a symbol that predated Christianity by thousands of years, and blah blah blah. All of this rubbish.
Right.
And yet it is the symbol of the sine wave. It is the symbol of true Christianity. It is the symbol of light. It has so much to teach us and offer. It is beautiful.
Right. Right.
Not evil.
Just like Christmas, you know, the religion I was, we never celebrated Christmas. So evil. When we know that that's really our story. It's that sun that stands still for 3 days and 3 nights and that is reborn, you know, up into the higher dimensions. But I, like you, we did all those, jumped through all of those hoops and everything, trying to please God. But when you awaken, it's such freedom, isn't it? Just beautiful.
Yep.
And I was thinking when I was in Rome, that Egyptian obelisk right in the middle of St. Peter's Square, I was wondering how many people really even understand. You know, they pass that, thousands every day, even understand what that's all about. Well, you know, I was wondering, when Pope Francis came to the U.S., you know, we had so many comments about all the beautiful things he was saying, you know, about cooperating, you know, the world cooperating together and generously for the common good of all, and all these encouraging words. But I was just wondering, what do you really feel his agenda was when he came to the United States?
Oh, they are just doing everything possible to have a raison d'être. You know, they are obsolete, really, these buffoons. People are finding true spirituality and God, the Creator, within, and they don't need these structures and these corporate monstrosities called Christianity and Christendom. And so they are struggling to find a place and to continue to exist in the future, where they know that they do not have a place, because they are liars. They are a coven of witches and a den of thieves. They are Pharisees. They are offspring of vipers. They are black magicians. They are Satanists. They are demon worshippers. They are demon creators. They create demons. Demons are egregores. They are thought forms and emotion forms. And so the Vatican families are behind the Vatican. It's not Christianity. It is demon worship. And what they do is they create egregores. And an egregore is a thought form. So we all have them. I've got my own demons. You have. And what they are is probably sour or bitter emotions that we've had in the past that have taken on their own life of their own. Some people's demons are much more powerful than others. And you see these people, we call them crazy, where they're walking down the street and they're talking to someone who's persecuting them, and it's their own creation. Right. And so when you and I get together and we get a third person and a fourth person and we make a club and we've got 30 people in that club and we get together to pray and we make rituals with candles and incense and we conjure up this, we create a demon, an egregore. And that egregore will be part of our organization as long as we give it life. And so the Vatican family is being very, very powerful with money. they have created Vatican demons. And so at the Vatican, there is a demon. And the Jews, so-called Jews, the Khazarian Hyksos Freemasonic group, they've got their demon. And so the Knights Templar, they have their own demon, and the Salvation Army have an egregore of their own. And so they've all got these powerful demons, and a lot of them work together. You'll find that the Baptists have demons, the Mormons have demons, the Jehovah's Witnesses, and it's a kind of a central controlling thought creature that controls. It's their governing body thought process. It's a demon.
Right. Right.
And so when people go to St. Peter's Square at Easter, for instance, to hear the Pope give his Easter speech, they are actually giving more life to that false idol, which is a demon. They don't give glory to the Creator.
Right.
They give glory to their own creation, which they call God, the Creator.
Right. Right.
It's a false God.
Right. When we were there, the energy was just so totally, the 666, which is that male energy. It was just, you could just feel it. But I asked one of the cab drivers, I wanted to see what they felt. I said, what do you think of this Pope? And he said, damage control. And I thought, that's exactly what we're seeing happen, isn't it? They're losing control. And so they're in there trying to do some damage control to, bring people in. But words don't always do it, do they? Well, let me ask you another question. I wanted to ask you, can you explain something that I've heard called the Holy Trinity? And it's how Washington, London, and the Vatican are all connected, and they have this common agenda. What's the connection there, Santos?
Yeah, well, these city-states, they are Vatican-controlled and Vatican-owned.
Even Washington.
You people, even Washington, D.C., District of Columbia. Columbia is a very clever word. You see, Columbus, Christopher Columbus, Columbia. Columbus is the dove. The dove is David. David is Saturn. Saturn is Satan. The district of Satan.
Wow.
And the other version, the feminine side of Columbia is Isis, Semiramis, Venus, the goddess. And so this is why Columbia, the district, is in between Maryland and Virginia, because Mary is the virgin.
Wow.
Yeah, so that particular corporation, which is a commercial, it's the American government for commerce. It's not the republic, which was destroyed in 1871. In 1871, when this particular satanic Vatican-controlled corporation was implemented and inaugurated in your country, the republic ceased to be active as a government non-for-profit, and that is your true government. This false government, District of Columbia, Satan, is controlled by the Vatican, and the Davidic family or the Columbus families are nothing other than basically the ones hiding behind this veneer, this smokescreen of Christianity, Christendom. It's not at all. It is offspring of vipers, as Jesus said. You will know them by their fruits. A false and an evil. A bad tree cannot produce good fruit, and it has never produced any good fruit ever. It is there for the purpose of enslavement. It created the definition of person, which is a corporation, the 14th Amendment, and ever since they have enslaved, the Vatican has occupied your country, and people are bowing down to this false idol, which is an image of the true idol, or the true organic government, which is the republic. So democracy now, mob rule is the modus operandi. And so what you have now is 3 city-states which control the 3 aspects of humankind, which is spirit, soul, and body. So the Vatican controls the spiritual side of things. It is they are the spiritual puppeteers who really just push out a spiritual satanic miasma which pollutes true Christianity. The London part of the corporation, which is not the greater city of London, it is the London City, which is Vatican owned and controlled. This controls the soul through finance and debt enslavement. And then, of course, DC, the body, controls the body through military rule, martial law, and there you are belligerent and you are hostile and you are basically at war with the military side of the Vatican. So the Vatican really has all these corporations out there. All corporations are annexed in that umbrella of the Vatican, the Holy See, and the Roman Curia. Really, everything goes back to Rome. All roads lead to Rome.
Right. And, you know, I was reading where the majority of our presidents either go back to Charlemagne or the throne of England, all U.S. presidents. And also I was looking at a graph like our Congress and all. It's amazing how everybody is related in all of that. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Oh, yes. It's all one big demon-worshipping, demon-creating corporation. And what they do is they teach demonic teachings like gravity. For all the cleverness and intelligence of someone like a Newton, gravity is totally hocus pocus, honky shonky wonky, dodgy bodgy, bogus pseudo science. It's not real science. The real science is in the scriptures. And and in the scriptures it teaches us that our cosmos is geocentric. It's not heliocentric at all. So Copernicus, with his theory about a globe Earth and all of this, it's all hocus pocus. It's totally a sham, and it causes people who suspend their intelligence to think that they're upside down in Australia somehow spinning, and not flying off, because gravity is so intelligent, discriminating force. It can allow the butterflies and dust particles to fly around and flitter and flatter, and yet ocean liners are stuck with all the water, with all this gravity hocus pocus onto this ball flying around all over the place in space. And so even though we move 1 billion miles every year because of the Earth spinning 1,000 miles at the equator and orbiting at 67,000 miles an hour and hurtling through space at 550,000 miles an hour, and yet there's no parallax in the stars and all the constellations remain the same forever. Supposedly there's supposed to be millions of miles, of billions of light years of depth between the stars of each constellation, and yet they never change their shape, which would indicate that the Bible is correct when it says that he placed the stars in the firmament, and there's only a couple of thousand miles of depth in all of the stars. That's why they don't move, and they never will move, and the earth is not moving, because the scriptures say clearly that the earth, he has established the earth upon its places, upon its pillars, and it will not move forever and ever, and it will not totter. So Copernicus, Kepler, Galileo Galilei, Aristotle, all these buffoons, they're going bye-byes, because Santos Bonacci has brought the true geocentric syncretism back to humanity and many others, and it's here forevermore to stay. And we will always know that relativism, the teaching of Satanist demon worshippers, is going bye-byes.
Right.
Forever. Because what is up, and what is down is down. The universe is intelligent, and everything that is up is up. There's no relativism. My relative up, because I'm upside down in Australia, is hocus pocus. All of that globe stuff, and that's going bye-byes.
Right. So really, Santos, what you're saying too is there was a real reason that you learned the Bible, because it does hold a lot of tools and keys for us today of truth. Do you feel that?
Yeah, I would say to people, don't stop being Christian, don't stop being Jewish, don't stop being Islamist, Muslim, Hindu. Understand them. Understand these sciences. Don't
Right.
don't embrace the monotheistic corporate version of these teachings. See, most Muslims are Wahhabis. They've got no idea about the true Sufi roots of Islam.
Right.
So
Right.
they're Wahhabis, which teach you to go and kill infidels on the literal plane. So they're going out there and they're hating on Christians because they're not Muslims. Islam does not teach that kind of hatred. Islam is a pure teaching of truth and to love and embrace all human beings because they are children of God. And
Right.
so does Christianity. So I would say to a Jehovah's Witness, do not turn your back to the Christ or to Jehovah, but understand who they truly are.
Right. Right. And the core of everything started out as love, didn't it? It's when man gets a hold of it, institutionalize it, puts the walls around it, wants to control it, that everything got upside down, like you said, instead of the way it really was. Because, like you said, I love the syncretism that everything really comes out of love. Love is that power that's going to change the world, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, it's all about love. As William Wallace said, the God that you believe in may be different to the God that I believe in, but the God that made you and the God that made me are one and the same God. There is only one source, there is only one creator. Jehovah, Allah, Krishna, Vishnu.
Yes. Yes. And if we saw ourselves as brothers and sisters, and interconnectedness, which is really something that's coming out, that oneness. That's why we call ourselves a oneness center. We've had some peace days where we had 17 different religions praying for peace in their own way, honoring everybody. We all have that same heart beating within us that really wants to see a world that works for all humanity, don't you think?
Yeah,
So,
and we will. See, people turn away from syncretism because the corporate worlds who are struggling to survive, they call it. I think they call it universal ecumenism or something like that, where they have this ecumenical movement to unite very, very polarized and opposite ideologies in a one homogenous sort of a world
right,
global hodgepodge of it's an aberration. The
right,
worldly. So when the Pope, for instance, when the Pope says, let's all get together, come on, Christians and all the religions, and they go to Assisi to pray and to bring unity to the world, it's the wrong kind. That's not the true kind.
right.
Only syncretism offers the true kind, where we make a world of unity in the heart, in
Yes,
an organic way, not in a corporate top level way, coming from the top, so that they can then again create a control mechanism called monotheism or whatever they want to call it. So
yes,
we have to take the reins of this movement. We have to do this. We should
right.
not allow corporate organizations to do this. We should do it.
Right. Those of us that really have that passion and love that want to see that unity come together. Exactly. Exactly. Well, you know what? There are two scriptures I want to ask you about, Santos, that I have always loved. And one is, it says, and you kind of touched on it with a single eye, but it says that the light of the body is the eye. If the eye be single, your whole body will be filled with light. And I thought, knowing the Bible as you do, how can you kind of tell people what that scientifically really is telling them?
Yeah, well, the mind's eye and the mind. Well, we have two minds. We have a spiritual mind and we have a material mind. So when the Creator expands and creates little individual jivas like you and I, a jiva is a living entity. So you're a jiva, I'm a jiva, and we are units of God life. And so we are one and the same with God in quality. Quantitatively, we are not the same. but qualitatively we are one and the same. So that's why the scriptures say we are children of God, because we can't be children of anything else. We have to be children of that person of God, the supreme personality of Godhead. And so the Creator has 8 material creative energies, and 5 of those are gross and 3 of those are subtle. So the subtle energies are false ego, material mind, material intelligence. Those are the subtle energies of the Creator, external energies. And then there are 5 gross elements, which are fire, earth, air, water, and ether.
Right.
And so you are composed of that octave of materials. Now, if we are going to live under the tyranny of the false ego, the material mind, and the material intelligence, well, we'll be going around like all the other unawakened ones who are dead in their trespasses, doing very intelligent material things, building skyscrapers and war machines and guns and all kinds of intelligent material creations with their material intelligence and material mind and false ego. So you've got people like actors in Hollywood. You know, I'm an actor. Oh yes, and I'm a scientist. I have a fat head disease. You see on my wall, I have all these papers saying that I'm a scientist. And so all of these God creatures who are divine and who have a spiritual mind, spiritual intelligence, and a true ego, they have abandoned this trinity of godliness, and they have defaulted to their material mind.
Right.
And so they are forever trapped, forever learning, but never coming to an accurate knowledge of truth, as the scriptures say.
Right. Yeah.
And so you'll see them. They're clever people. They appear to be very clever.
Right.
And yet they are chasing the wind. And what Colossians says, that the Creator laughs at them because their wisdom is worldly wisdom, which God calls foolishness. And this is because they are unawakened in their trespasses, in their death-like state, and their material mind is all that they have and all that they use. And so their eye is not simple anymore now, you see.
Right.
The
right.
eye that is simple is the eye that does not chase after material wisdom, that is not after material prosperity. It is the mind that has been spiritualized, sublimated, transformed. It is the individual who has experienced the apotheosis, the metamorphosis, and has transcended and ascended above the mundane mind.
Yes. Right.
And can now see things in their true nature.
Right.
And this is why in ancient times they would give the adherents and the initiates, they would give them sacred plants like the psilocybin mushroom, the Amanita muscaria mushroom. The Eucharist would have would consist of transcendental entheogens, you see, because these help one to transcend the mind and to filter the mind so that the material chitter chatter and the noise of the mind can be stilled. I'm not here by advising or recommending to anyone to go and take an entheogen like an LSD or a DMT or something like this, although some have used these as a sort of a cheating device to actually find enlightenment. You know, for instance, Francis Crick on an LSD trip, he was able to discover the DNA code, you know, and the strands, the helix. So the helix was discovered by Francis Crick on LSD because what it does is it opens up other parts of the mind which are otherwise asleep. So, but we can do this naturally through meditation, which is
Right.
much more powerful and
Right.
much more natural.
Right.
But see, in the past, pure entheogens have been used to kickstart people's spirituality. So there's nothing necessarily wrong with them, but they are well, anything you ingest alters your consciousness. As for people who say, oh, entheogens and all of these things, they are evil and can cause harm. Well, that's partially true, but what I say, my retort is, well, whatever you eat, a mushroom or a pizza or an apple, is going to change and alter your consciousness, because every plant, everything you ingest has its own consciousness. So you are violating your own consciousness every time you ingest anything.
Wow. Well, let me just ask you this, though. What I was thinking about that scripture too, and I love the way you elaborate on that, but it says, if your eye be single, your whole body be full of light. I feel like there's something scientifically that's going to transform us back into light beings when we come out of this realm of duality. When, just what you were saying, when we transcend this natural mind, and the ego and the spirit comes together, and the spirit is the one that's controlling the ego, and they work together, that there is really a transmutation that could take place as Jesus laid his body down and picked it up, that we really have the power to do that too, that we don't have to walk through that shadow of death. It calls it a shadow, but we have the ability, as we transcend, to really lay our body down and pick it up at will. Do you agree with that?
Yes. The cross that we must all bear, which is the valley of death, the shadow of and walking through the valley of death, a la Psalm 23. That's your body. When you stand with your feet together and your arms outstretched, a la Leonardo da Vinci's Vitruvian Man,
yes,
you will see that the shape of your body is in the shape of a T. That's the cross.
yes.
Those are the four elements of fire. Fire, the Father. Water, the Spirit, the Son, Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. These are the four elements, you see. So, and the Father is fire, the tetragrammaton, the tetrahedron. And so this is why we do this cross. This is a beautiful ritual which actually unifies the body, the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. It's very important that we do this cross. And we do it to ourselves, because this will bring together the four elements. And so this cross, this tomb, we come from a womb.
Yes.
And we go to a tomb. So this tomb that we carry, as Plato said, from Sema to Soma, or from Soma to Sema rather, from womb to tomb, it is the cross that we must all bear. So, but what we do is we sublimate these elements, because the elements, fire, air, water, and earth, they all have their baptisms. So when you get baptized in water, this is a psychic baptism. It's useless. You can't get to heaven with this baptism, because as John the Baptist said, the one who is coming will not baptize with water alone. He will baptize with spirit, air, and fire.
Yes.
Mystical fire, M-Y-S-T. You see, water, M-I-S-T, is the inferior baptism. And those who are baptized in water, i.e. the churches, they ain't getting to heaven.
Yeah.
That's the false baptism.
Right.
There are four baptisms. The first one is the hylic baptism, earth, the body, the cross, the baptism of death. So the second element above earth is water. And water is the universal solvent, isn't it?
Yes.
You can wash your car with water. You see, when your car's dirty with earth, bits of dust and mud and it's all dirty, well, then you don't get air to clean it. Air's not. You can blow air on it all day, or you can get a fire hose, a torch, a fire torch, and try and clean. You won't clean it. What cleans earth is water. So to cleanse your body, you must be baptized in water. That's the first baptism. The next one is the mental, the air, pneuma, spirit. The one coming shall baptize in spirit, Holy Spirit. And so air sublimates water. And this is the mental, spiritual, allegoric element. But we don't stop there. We don't stop in the mental baptism. We don't want to be clever new age teachers and gurus teaching to go to the light and be illuminated and blah, blah, blah. There's one level higher than this. You see, so all these Mayavadi gurus teaching that God is the light, this is false. God is not the light. God is light, yes, but God is a person beyond his impersonal effulgence, which is his white light. And that is the baptism of fire. And these are mystics, M-Y-S-T, the baptism of mist. And so these ones go beyond, and they go to the person of the Creator, to be with God. John 1:1, and the Word was God, and the Word was with God.
With God, right. Wow, that's awesome. I haven't quite heard it like that before. That's awesome.
These are truths, sister. These are truths you will never find in the churches. You'll find them obscured. You will find them adulterated. You will find them watered down, manipulated, contrived, controlled, but you will never find them loosed of their shackles and freed of all of their dogma and stigma and doctrines, false doctrines, because basically the churches want to control your spirit and hold it so that they can have slaves forevermore, reincarnating on this plane. Whereas that is not our purpose. Our purpose is divine, to be released from these bodies and to be self-realized so that we can be God and with God. Yes.
Well, don't you think, though, that people are waking up all over the world, Santos, today? And what do you attribute that to, this awakening? Because I know when I traveled throughout Europe last year, I saw people all over that were really coming out of religion, coming out of churches, and really awakening.
It's natural, because we are good.
Right.
Good/God, same word.
Yes.
You see, the Neoplatonists, which is our true theological transcendental science of the West, not the Aristotelian materialist speculative worldly wisdom. I'm talking about Platonic and Pythagorean true science. You see?
Yes.
And so when we shun and learn to shun the Aristotle kind of materialistic buffoonery, and we accept the Neoplatonic true transcendental science, we will understand that we are good gods, children of God, and we will awaken. All of us will. All the sleep, the dead shall rise. This is why Jesus said, "Do not marvel at this, that I am healing and resurrecting people. For the hour will come that the Lord will call out to the dead ones in the tombs."
Right.
And they will awaken.
Right.
And what is the tomb?
The
there
body.
It is.
The body.
There's you see, why do I have something called an anatomy? An anatomy.
Wow.
See, all the atoms that compose, all the waveforms that compose this tomb anatomy of my body, they are all waves. And so this baptism of death, this tomb anatomy that I have, will be released. And we are all of this divine substance returning to the source. And so it's natural that we will awaken, like a caterpillar in locked inside a cocoon for a certain period of time, eventually it will come out and it will fly away as a butterfly.
Right.
It will transform.
So beautiful. And a lot of the ancients told us that there would be a time when all this would kind of go underground and we would be deceived, but then there would be that time of awakening. I mean, so many of the ancient people talked about the time that we're living in. What do you think is ahead, maybe in 2016, Santos, this year? What do you see happening this year? Anything that's we should know about?
Well, 2016 numerologically come to 9. So 9 is the highest of the numbers in the decimal material. See, the decimal system, there are two universal systems. One's material, one's spiritual. The number 12 is spiritual. The number 10 is, how many fingers do I have?
10.
So Aten, which is just the number 10 with an A in front of it, Aten, which is Saturn or Adam or Atum or Aten, is man. It's the material Adam, Kadmon, man. And it is material. So our mind, our whole physical matrix is a decimal tenness, Aten. And so the number 9 is the highest of the numbers. There's no numbers after 9, so 1 to 9. And so 2016 is completion. It is the story of human completion. So 2015, that was about the number 8, and 8 is
infinity,
and you have a superior circle, and below it is an angle. So the bottom part is the material, and the top part is spiritual. But that there is still a play. There's still a play going on between the spiritual and the material. So this is man struggling with his. He is destroying. 8 is a number of destruction and transformation. So the bottom 0 is destroyed and the top 0. So we come out of below the bottom 8 and we go up into the top part. You see, we go from down to up.
Beautiful.
And that's what the figure 8 is. But the 9, there's only a circle above, and then it goes like this, and then it dips down. The stem of the 9 dips down to the inferior world, but the circle above is saying that we have now sublimated. We've gone up to the top circle. There's only one circle in 9, and it is spiritual completion.
Beautiful.
So, 2016 is going to be a glorious number for humanity.
Great.
Not for humanism. Humanism is another demonic teaching, which is the same as communism, which is the same as Copernicism, Aristotelian buffoonery, Newtonism, gravity, and all that crock of rubbish, Darwin, evolution, and all of these materialist buffoons. They call themselves philosophers, or Hegel, for instance. All of these, they are materialists. They're not a Ralph Waldo Emerson, a spiritualist. They're not a Platonist. There's two different kinds. You see, we're looking up at the wrong guys. We shouldn't be looking up at Einstein at all. Einstein was a monkey. He was a man who was more monkey than a man. Relativity. Oh, please, that's demon. He was a demon worshipper. These are demonic teachings, Einstein and Newton, demonism.
Wow.
We have to go back to the scriptures. We've got to go back to the godly men, like your Thomas Paines, like your Ralph Waldo Emersons, and these true transcendentalists.
Yes.
Transcendental science is the true science, not materialist science.
Right. Was there anything specific that you see happening this year that we're going to have some kind of transformation with the banking or anything like that? Do you see anything that's going to implode on itself this year that is going to really bring some freedom for humanity?
Yeah, look, to an extent, to a degree, all of these artificial contrived mechanisms to co-opt our natural systems will disappear, will lose. I mean, they're losing ground. You know,
Right.
the alternative media is attracting people more and more because mainstream media, who is run by the Rothschilds and the Vatican, really, people are just disillusioned with it. They know that Murdoch's a liar. They know that they are materialists, that they are, you know, basically just capitalist pigs, and their teachings are just teachings of swine. Universities are full of fathead disease, moronic, really just demon teachings. Everything's just centered on the false cosmos. That, you know, it just totally dishonest pseudoscience. Gravity, for instance, is the worst of the worst teachings that must be obliterated and smashed to pieces. And we must, you know, return to true doctrines. For instance, buoyancy, mass, and density. That's why objects of mass fall to the ground, because up is up and down is down, not because we're spinning and because of gravity and all of these stupidities. We've got to get back to real science, and syncretism will do that. I encourage everybody just to go to my Mr. Astrotheology YouTube site and watch free syncretism for the rest of your life. And all you've got to do, just one warning with that, I did base most of my syncretism on the heliocentric false model. Now it's I've corrected that and it's geocentric. All you have to do is change your perspective with that, but the teaching still applies. Everything I've done in my presentations still stand, still contain absolute transcendental truths. But all you have to do is just get off the heliocentric demonic model and go back to the true creator model of geocentrism.
Yes, and your YouTube is phenomenal. I've followed it for years. I mean, I just watched the one on the beard being the reflection and everything going back to the sun. I love all of your videos. So we're going to have that up on the screen. Your website. You have a universal truth school too, Santos, which is on your website, which is Santo Banaki Universal Truth School. Is that correct?
No, it's called, one word, universaltruthschool.com.
Okay, that's what we'll put up on the screen. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, listen, we thank you so much. You got up early this morning so that we could, being in Florida, that we could interview you, and we really, really appreciate it. We'd love to interview again in maybe a month or so. So we will keep in contact with you. Thank you so much. You are just a wealth of information, and we really, really appreciate it. Is there anything you want to end with?
No, just to say thank you, and thank you to the listeners. Long live the truth, transcendental truth, omnia vincit veritas. We will conquer. We will conquer. We wrote the script, and we didn't write it so that it would turn to a heap of dung. It's going to turn out magnificent, and we will ensure that. Our intent and our truth-seeking. Truth is a creature. God is truth. Truth is a being, and we bow down and honor that being, and let us not succumb to demonic egregore, false pseudoscience teachings, people.
Beautiful. Thank you again, Santos, so much. We really appreciate the interview, and we hope to see you again soon.
Thank you, Mary Lou. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.